What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, and this is the Philly Tall Podcast. Do your boy a favor and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss these videos. Let's get into the main topic, and that is Jalen Hurts, who is by far in the 2020 season the most criticized quarterback. It's just simple and plain. When you look at the production that he has had in 2024, right? The first narrative were their turnovers. He couldn't stop turning the ball over, but we were still winning. And yes, there were different circumstances to each win. A defensive stop in the Saints, Saquon Barkley, but Jalen Hurts has the ball in his hands every play. Jalen Hurts makes the plays to get us down there to give it to Saquon Barkley, to do the brotherly shove and stuff like that. And when you look at the last 5 games after the bye, he's been a perfect quarterback, 16 touchdowns total, 0 turnovers. He does have some turnovers against the Cowboys. It is what it is, but he comes back with a game versus the Commanders for the division, 0 turnovers, 260 total yards, a touchdown. And what does the media say? Well, he's not passing the ball the way we want him to. Rushing touchdowns count too. And shout out to him for donating $5K for each touchdown, whether it's passing or rushing. But Jalen Hurts needs to play better than what he played against the Washington Commanders. I think the biggest Hurts supporter will tell you that. But when I see Jared Goff throw 5 interceptions in a game and barely get criticized, Jalen Hurts have a 1 touchdown performance with his legs, but still control the game, 260 yards of total offense, make the right decisions when it counts, and win a game versus a team that they were talking about as a legit team in the NFC. He shouldn't get the amount of criticism. Did he miss Smitty and a crosser? Yes. Were there open receivers in the end zone that he missed? Yes. But I had the luxury, and y'all had the luxury, of watching NFL football this week with no Eagles because we took care of business on Thursday. We're 8-2. There's only one team in the NFC that is better than us. There's only one team, 2 teams in the whole NFL that has a better record than us, and that is the Chiefs and the Lions. I saw Joe Burrow, who played a good game, but missed multiple reads. Josh Allen missed some reads. Lamar Jackson's kryptonite might just be the Steelers because he can't beat them. Who's Jalen Hurts' kryptonite? I don't know. When I look at the NFC, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are top of my mind as Super Bowl contenders. I want to start this off with just the criticism that Jalen Hurts gets compared to other quarterbacks. But I want to transition to then why this Eagles team is literally a Super Bowl contending team, and that is also mainly to do with our defense. Again, I've seen very good things. Saquon Barkley said it best. This Eagles offense is still evolving. He might not have as many touchdowns as Derrick Henry due to the brotherly shove. But again, it's not just Saquon who gets us down there. It's also Jalen Hurts. And when you look at a quarterback who, again, completion percentage up, turnovers have been taken care of since the bye. This Eagles team, including Jalen Hurts, has been a different team since the bye. Speaking not just for the quarterback, but for that defense that we'll talk about later in this stream as well. But again, I've watched misreads all through Sunday, week 11. Every quarterback got something that they want to take back when the all-22 film comes on the table, comes on the film screen. They just simply do. Dang, I missed this. Dang, I should have checked to this. How did I not see this blitz coming? How did I throw that interception, right? Interceptions are the one thing that we can see as a 1,000%. Oops. We don't need the all-22 to realize a bad interception, a fumble, something along them lines. But again, I look at the Eagles quarterback and I say, is he the best quarterback in the league right now? No. Is he missing some reads? Is he escaping from a clean pocket at times? Mainly in this Commanders game, yes. But what was anybody saying negative about Jalen Hurts versus the Browns defense? They stink as a unit, but their defense is still good. The Giants, before they went on this losing streak, and shout out to Daniel Jones, who just lost his job. It is what it is. It's Tommy DeVito over there. But before the Giants went on this big losing streak, they had a top 10 defense. Top 10 defense. So before the losing streak, top 10 defense. Hurts handled it. Browns defense is good. Hurts handle it. He goes battle for battle. He goes play for play. Outplays Joe Burrow, not in Philly. He outplays Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. What was the biggest game for Jaden Daniels' young career? Outdueling Joe Burrow, who, by the way, is a lot of games under 500, and he has 27 passing touchdowns. Again, Jalen Hurts was doing something prior to this last Commanders game, which still now he holds the record for most games with at least one passing touchdown, one rushing touchdown, and a passer rating of over 100. Why has that never been done before? Because if you're a great passer, you're not rushing for a touchdown every game. If you're a great rusher, you're not passing for a touchdown every game. And even if you do for 3 or 4 consecutive games, your passing rating ain't going to be over 100 because you're not that good of a passer if you're a rushing quarterback. Jalen was able to do that. Jalen was able to get this win streak up for us. Our defense is playing lights out. But guess who else's defense is playing lights out? Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes' defense allowed 30 points on them for the first time since the Eagles' 2022 Super Bowl. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league. Now, again, I don't want to compare him to Jalen because he got 3 rings. Patrick Mahomes is allowed to have a bad season, a bad week, a bad month. Don't matter. He's Patrick Mahomes, 3-time Super Bowl champion. But when you look at that Chiefs defense, since beating the Eagles in the Super Bowl in 2022, last week was the first time they allowed 30 or more points since the Super Bowl. That's a good defense. That's a real good defense, if I do say so myself. Shout out to Jose Serrano with the first super chat of the day, $2. He said, time to go 7-0, my brother. Fly, Eagles, fly. Yes. This week, we will be discussing, as it gets closer to Sunday, the LA Rams, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and company. Now, the Eagles will go to Levi Stadium, I think, or SoFi Stadium. I forgot what the stadium is called, but it's in California. We're going to LA. We going to LA. Eagle fans do travel to LA. We are going to LA, and we will have our biggest test. We keep saying that. Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Big Play Slay, CJ Garner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship. This secondary has been one of the best secondaries in the league. And as Jose Serrano said, it's time to go 7-0. 5 games winning streak, 6-game winning streak, trying to get to a 7-game winning streak. Defense is a big part of it. Saquon might be the offensive player of the year, but Jalen Hurts has been productive this season. And since the bye, there's not many quarterbacks playing better in its totality. The Commanders game, he did have a bad half. He was struggling to see the field. He was definitely leaving the pocket early. But what quarterback did not have a perfect week in week 11? And that was our week 11 game. We just play earlier. SoFi Stadium, that is a big fact. Shout out to Keisha. But like I was saying, that's going to be a real test. We said, this Washington Commanders offense was going to be a big test. Terry McLaurin was locked up big time. He came out and stressed how good Quinyon Mitchell is, that he doesn't play like a rookie at all. Scary Terry, we know him as a guy who normally beats up on the Eagles secondary. He's beaten up Slay for a while, even in Slay's best years as an Eagle. That's the one receiver that gets him. So out of his 25 ran routes, Quinyon was on him at least 20 times and shut him down 6 times in press coverage. But when that defense got the ball back to Jalen, Jalen and company went down and did what they needed to do. Now, I do want to talk about some of the play calls because I think that we put ourselves in not so great of circumstances. I mean, on one crucial third down, you got the coaching staff calling a handoff to Saquon, reverse to Smitty, back to Jalen Hurts, and then he gets sacked for damn near a 20-yard loss. That ain't Jalen. But again, I'll be the first to say that since the bye, that was the shakiest game. That was the game where I'm like, come on, Jalen, you got to go show me something, right? But Jaden Daniels, who was supposed to show us something too, right? After being the media darling, 260 yards of total offense and a touchdown is better than what Jaden Daniels had. He didn't have 200 yards of total offense. He only scored a touchdown because we gave it up in garbage time. We gave it up in garbage time. I don't get it. He threw a pick. Garbage time touchdown. That's what we're doing. Again, week 11 was put in perspective. And a lot of people who criticize Eagles, I'm talking about the own Eagle fans who say Jalen Hurts ain't going to get us to the Super Bowl, ain't going to be able to win us the big game. Well, he's already done that. This team is flying high, and he is the absolute leader. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Greg said Steelers and Ravens game will be a one score. Will be they're always like that. Lamar Jackson is having an MVP season. Don't let me say that he's not playing good. However, week 11 didn't look so good. Nobody's going to say nothing about Lamar Jackson, though. He gets the pass, I guess. I do want to pull up the Eagles' defense and what we're doing, though, because my goodness, is this defense not just good, but it's legit. It's Super Bowl contending defense. What's the famous saying? Defense will win championships. If that's the real saying, sign me up. Because this Eagles defense is looking like a championship defense. Let me pull it up real quick. Just a graphic I want to show you. And shout out to Zach Ertz, though. I love the things he said after the game. You could see in his face the emotion, right? He wanted to beat us. Couldn't beat us, though. But he did. Again, the Eagles weren't allowing the wide receivers to do anything. 5 catches for the wide receivers. That is it. Just 5 catches. 5 catches for the wide receivers. And it was 5 wide receivers to catch 5 catches. No wide receiver had more than a catch. No wide receiver had more than a catch. But this is what I said on Twitter. This is as legit as it gets. We have a Super Bowl defense. This Philadelphia Eagles defense led by who? Is it the D-line, the linebackers, the secondary? Because our linebacking group is playing like the best in the NFL. Our D-line has the most sacks in the last 6 weeks, 5 weeks. Who is the best part of this defense? Is it the young boys in the secondary? Is it the pass rush? Nolan Smith has had a sack almost every single game, or a half a sack every single game since the bye week. Net yards per game allowed, 211. That ranks first. Yards per play allowed, 3.77. That ranks first. Sacks, that's Carter. That's Williams, Davis, Nolan Smith, BG, Sweat, 22. That ranks first. Points per game allowed, 13.8. That ranks second. Can't be greedy, I guess. But if you're telling me that we're going to win the majority of the games that the Eagles score more than 13.8 points per game, we're going to win a lot of football games because this offense is getting better. This defense that's playing lights out is still getting better too. and takeaways, something the Eagles did not do good in the early part of the season, is taking the ball away. And we're doing it now. 11 takeaways in the last 5 weeks of football. That is 2+ takeaways a game. And in 5 weeks of football, the Eagles only have 2 giveaways. Both Jalen Hurts, an interception versus the Cowboys, Trayvon Diggs jumped on it, and a fumble against the Cowboys. Sun in his face or not, you got to protect the ball. You got to keep 2 hands on the ball. All that being said, 5 games, we gave the ball away twice. We took it away 11. When you're +9 in the turnover category, the takeaway category, or the turnover category, I should say, in 5 weeks, that is good, solid, complementary football. Eagles offense helping the Eagles defense and vice versa. Carlos G with the $20 super chat. Appreciate the love and support. He said, "What's good, Mike? All I got to say is Super Bowl. We will be in New Orleans. Book it." Get your tickets now if you believe that. They're going to be expensive, but this is a team that looks Super Bowl ready. The defense is leading the way. That's one thing. When people talk about the crash out, the letdown of 2023, as much as our offense fell apart at the end of the season, our defense never really fell apart. Our defense was never really there to begin with. The Eagles' defense was absolutely horrendous the whole season. Even if you want to go since week 1, where they got the 34 point or the 30+ points put on us by the Green Bay Packers. You got the points put on us by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With all that being said, we're still a top 5, top 7 defense. So yeah, we've been playing as the number 1 defense over the last 5 weeks. But even in its totality, when you add in them Packer points and them Bucks points, we're still doing things that no other defense can do or can claim. And this defense has now proven that it's been better over the latter half of the season, which means it's getting better, not falling apart. And then when push comes to shove, the Eagles still put up 26 points in Jalen Hurts' worst 2 halves of the season. Worst 2 quarters, I mean. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense played their worst half of football. And this is why Jalen Hurts is getting criticized. In a 6-game sample, Jalen Hurts looked bad for a half. He gets criticized to the moon. They're going to point out, I want to point out that the Eagles defense is good. People are saying Jalen Hurts is nothing. He got a great offense, a great defense. He's being absolutely carried. Well, why not talk about the defenses carrying other good quarterbacks? Why not talk about the mistakes other quarterbacks make? I'm okay with pointing out Jalen Hurts' mistakes, which he did have a bad half versus the Commanders. But is he a bad quarterback in 2024? No, not at all. Not at all. And if you agree with Carlos's $20 super chat, Super Bowl, here we come in New Orleans. 7-5 said he didn't look bad. He looked like everybody else. That's the point I'm trying to make. See, again, I can say he looked bad, but so did everybody else. That's the thing that no one else is trying to say. Everybody has had bad games. Nobody has had a perfect game. But I'll take a bad game being Jalen Hurts missed a couple wide open receivers. He threw a couple dirt balls, missed a couple wide open receivers, but that is the bad game we're talking about. We're not talking about 3 picks. We're not talking about 5 picks. We're not talking about throwing the game-winning interception. We're talking about a bad 2 quarters. Untrust of the offensive line for 2 quarters. Running, panicking for 2 quarters. But also winning also putting up 26 points. Oh, but that was only Saquon. Okay. I think I remember that one of the turning points of that Commanders game, Jalen Hurts stretching out for a big first down. Oh, but there you go, Philly Mike. You're talking about Jalen Hurts rushing stuff. Who cares? He can't. I care. 6 points is 6 points. If this defense allows a rushing touchdown by a quarterback or a passing touchdown by a cornerback, it's still a touchdown allowed on our defense. When Jalen Hurts stretched out for that first down, the game changed. When Jalen Hurts started using his legs under Kellen Moore, a big Russian 10-plus yard touchdown versus the Jags, a big 10-yard plus Russian touchdown versus the Bengals. Once the legs started being utilized in the red zone, well, now you can't focus on A.J. Brown on the outside, and you damn sure can't focus on Saquon Barkley. The brotherly shove is not the only thing keeping Barkley out the end zone from being inside the 20. We just recently played the Jags. We just recently played the Bengals. These are games that happened in the last month of the NFL season. And I've seen multiple times Kellen Moore draw up a play. RPO was not looking good in the beginning of the season prior to the bye week. But a lot of things didn't look good prior to the bye week. Defense didn't. Offense didn't. Hurts didn't. But things change. Now, when Hurts takes that ball, fakes it to Saquon, the defense goes with Saquon. But Jalen Hurts is running it in against the Giants too. Against the Giants too. Or was it the Giants? Or I don't know. All I know is Jalen Hurts is rushing from outside of the 10-yard line in because of who has the ball. Is it Saquon? Is it Jalen? That RPO looking scary. And I agree with the chat. One thing you will never see is Jalen Hurts throw 5 interceptions. He wouldn't do it. He would not do it. You wouldn't see a 5 turnover game in general from Jalen Hurts. But now that we don't got the narrative issue, it's Ryan Fitzpatrick on Thursday Night Football talking about, I just don't believe that Jalen Hurts can get it done in a shootout. Well, when you go against a guy like Joe Burrow and you outduel him, when you do something like we did in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, which it is 2 years ago, but this is the 2024 Jalen Hurts now. He's looking different from the 2022 Jalen Hurts. And I'm looking at him like, again, over the last 5 weeks, the dude's stats has been legit. Let's take a look at something else. Now, I didn't post this on, Twitter, but I'm going to read it off. When Jalen Hurts joined SVP, where he was trolling him in my last video, they pulled up his stats since week 6. Yards per attempt, Jalen Hurts is second, averaging 9.7 yards per attempt. That means, like Jaden Daniels in this game, check down Charlie, Jalen Hurts does not do that. There's only one quarterback that throws more yards per attempt than Jalen Hurts. I think that's pretty good. Touchdown to interception ratio, he's third. Since post bye week, since week 6, he's 8-1. We're 8-2 record wise. 8 touchdown to 1 interception. That ranks third. Completion percentage over the last 5.5 weeks or 6 weeks. He has a 70% completion percentage. That ranks 6th. And rushing touchdowns, he has 9. That ranks first, even over Derrick Henry. No. He's close with Derrick Henry in touchdowns rushing. But the average fan, the average analyst don't want to talk about that because it's not quarterback savvy. Jalen Hurts is a football player, not just a quarterback. But again, for him not being a quarterback, not being a good quarterback, why is he completing completion percentage top 10? My man can't throw, but he's 6th in completion percentage. Best of his career. My man can't throw. 8 touchdowns to 1 interception. Looks to me like he's doing more good than bad. My man can't throw, though. He got Saquon. Then why is he averaging the 2nd most yards per attempt? That's not checkdowns. Saquon don't have that many receiving yards overall. He's getting the ball to Smitty, AJ, Goddard when he's there, utilizing his running back. But he doesn't just check it down to the running back. When he throws the ball to Saquon, it's in the end zone, and it's 30 yards down the field. Just saying. For a guy who can't play quarterback, it sure looks like he's doing big things over the last couple of weeks. And I will still admit, that's with a defense that looks good like this. But that don't mean we got to take away from Jalen Hurts. That's with a running back who's number 2 in the league now because Derrick Henry just passed him again. But again, remember, Derrick Henry has a whole nother game on the resume that Saquon don't have yet, but he will eventually. Just because he got the leading rusher, just because he does know how to rush for quarterbacks, for touchdowns, doesn't mean you got to diminish everything else he's doing. And again, Jalen Hurts did have a bad 2 quarters, but that don't make him a bad quarterback. Jared Goff had a horrible game versus the Texans. That don't make him a bad quarterback. But if you're going to criticize my guy, criticize him. Talk about Joe Burrow playing good football but still losing. Talk about Patrick Mahomes' game-winning interception. Talk about Lamar not being able to get over the Steelers. And talk about the misreads from Allen, from Burrow. I wish I have this thing. Somebody did make a complimation. Shout out to the Eagle fans showing the real stuff. I don't know who on Twitter has it. I'm going to look for it because I'll put it in, or I'll try to show it in one of my next videos. But somebody literally showed Lamar miss. They have a video on Twitter somewhere of Lamar, Allen, Burrow all missing reads. Critical reads. Right in front of them type reads on week 11. They're all still good quarterbacks, though. I'm just saying. Daniel G with the $5 super chat. People say Hurts has weapons. Show me